Rupa is a writer, director, producer, and acclaimed Kannada feature film director of Gantu Mute. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Mhm.
Yes, yes. For which she has received multiple award nominations for Best Film, Best Director, and Best Writer, some of them being in the Critics' Choice Awards and Ottawa Indian Film Awards. She also won Best Screenplay at New York Indian Film Festival in 2019. She's also popularly known for her partially crowd-funded India's first same-sex web series, The Other Love Story, which has not only won her international awards for Best Director and Best Story, along with 7 other nominations, but also the hearts of millions of people around the world. It has 70 million views on YouTube. That's crazy. Um, and the Week magazine has honored her as Woman of the Year in 2016. So I'm so proud of you, Rupa. I can't like I am so proud of you, and I'm so honored to have you here with us for this session.
Oh, I
Um,
am honored to be here too. Thank you.
Great stuff. So jumping right into it, okay. I have been putting off watching Gantumute for a very long time. But this morning I was like, I'm talking to Rupa today, so I have to do this, right? So I woke up at 5 a.m. to do my Shambhavi, and at 6 o'clock, 6 a.m., I have watched the film because I knew I'm going to have a packed day. And I have so much to discuss and so many questions to ask. But before that, do you want to describe yourself in 3 words?
So hard. I fluid,
Mm-hmm.
exploring,
Mm-hmm.
clueless.
That is so beautiful and so honest, right? Hmm. And I think I can relate to that. In many ways, I can. And I think we've had so starting from the start, where were you career-wise when you decided that you want to pursue filmmaking?
Okay, so it was a long time ago now. So I am a finance graduate. I've done masters in finance, and I was working with Infosys for 6.5 years, and I was I was working as a project manager when I decided to resign to pursue films. So I used to do theater in school, in college, and not in school but in college. And I think that's where I must have figured out, because I was always so fascinated by cinema. But I didn't know it was something that we could do. I thought it just happens. I didn't know what happens behind and all that. But then when I was doing theater, I was like struck by the immensity of power of storytelling. You know it's fiction. You know it's happening on stage. Yet there are moments which moves you. It does something to you, and just that power of telling a story, it struck me. And although in college I was acting, like I was on stage, just what all it went, like stuff that went around, I was like so blown by it. And that's when I kind of figured that's what I want to be doing, because I think I had it in me. When I would talk, people would listen to me. So I thought maybe I could be a storyteller, like I could all, when you lie at home, you never get caught, and you're a good storyteller, right? So, and then I had applied for FTI, because I graduated long ago. So those days there were no film schools, or I didn't know how to get in, because I knew there is a world out there, but I don't know where's the door, right? How
Right,
things happen, I don't know.
right.
So I applied for FTIA, and around the same time I got a job with Infosys. So like I come from middle class, so and especially like an Infosys job, you don't say no to. So I went in and I got lost. I think I was in the US. I've told this story many, many times. I was in the US. I was there working from Infosys. I was placed there. We call it on site. So I was on
Mm-hmm.
site. We went to watch. We used to visit New York every now and then, and we went to watch a play in one weekend, and it all came back to me. It took me back to that space, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life and all that? That began. Uh, from that moment onwards, I took about 8, 9 months before I actually resigned, because it is a lot of thought. And
Of
I
course.
was 27 by then, 26, 27, 27 by then. So,
Which
at
year was this?
home, 2000 and, 2008 December, I resigned. So I'm quite old.
This was
uh,
before I met you. You'd already
yes.
resigned by then.
Yeah, I went to film school in 2009. 2010 I was working in UK. I migrated thinking, I work there and I bring back with some experience, so I get a red carpet welcome, all those dreams I had. But then life brought me back to India, to Bangalore, because my dad fell sick. And then yeah, I'm here. And that's how it all
I
started. And I
saw
didn't
that.
know anyone in film industry when I came back. So I had to I think I just got lucky in terms of time and space, because there was an ad in Naukri.com, like looking for female assistant directors for a feature film.
Right.
I just happened to notice it and apply for it, and that's how I got into film industry.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah,
Wow. That is such an
yeah,
inspiring journey, Rupa. Honestly, speaking of your dad, I mean, I saw that slide before at the start of the film, and
yeah.
it's just like. But what I also saw at the start of the film was this disclaimer that usually comes that all characters and names and everything is fictitious, and then there was a slide immediately after it which said "or not." And that caught my attention. That just like, I was like, okay, now I'm curious. Do you want to talk to us a little bit more about that?
So it was just, when we write stories, it is never completely fictional. We all know it. And it is never completely realistic as well, because uh, like I mentioned this, like when you narrate your dream to someone, or like a childhood memory to someone, what must have happened remains, but you add your own versions of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like so many things that get added to, when, like, I have noticed about me, when I'm telling about an experience, I'm mixing 2 3 experiences together and talking about it, because I think that's how you accumulate things within you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I wrote this story, I know a lot of it is fiction, and I also know a lot of it is not fiction. So I just wanted to kind of set the context right from the beginning.
Correct.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that, immediately, like, because we're working currently in this field and we're working to prevent child sexual abuse, I went into watching this film thinking that it's just going to be like another coming of age film. But it started with an experience of CSA. Um, and it was dealt with so much sensitivity, and and the recall, like throughout the film, right, that trigger kept coming back, and it's so real, it is something that survivors go through on a daily basis. um, what were you thinking when you were crafting that character and that experience?
um I wanted to definitely, you know it comes from personal experience. Who hasn't, in India or in the world? Every second woman I speak to has gone through something in her life. And not just women, even men that I speak to, they must have gone through something in their life. And I realized none of them in the mainstream cinema as such reaching, like, tension, even like touching upon it in any which way. And even when they did, it was very like a preachy, or like, off-putting saying it's an art
Exactly.
movie, or
Exactly.
so I just wanted to kind of merge it all together, because life experience is such, right? And everything kind of adds on to there is,
True.
it's not very, we are not living an independent, like life, everything is kind of connected to each other. So I wanted to bring that. And when I was writing, I was very, very aware that I'm speaking of this in the first 10 minutes of the film, and it's a risk that I'm taking, because it can either stop people from going further, or they get immersed. And then this is my process, that I don't want what people will think to come in my writing process or making process. I want to just say what I want to say, and I'm sure there is an audience out there for every kind of story, is what I my strong belief. So I'm like, I'm going to do this, and that's how I went. I There are many who came back and told me like how liberating it was for them to see this film, like thousands of them, just to find a represent. Just although this movie is kind of heavy towards the end, but people felt freer, because somebody told their story,
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's what I want to be doing with stories and my film journey.
And it's beautiful. I mean, more power to you. And for your courage of having, taken that decision to open your film like that. It's not easy. Um, and what was beautiful after that scene was that she's like, you know what, I am going to continue watching this film, right? Which is what it ties into the end. And I'm sorry if I'm giving spoilers, but the film is about resilience. A large part of it is about resilience, and it covers so many of the themes that we are currently working on as well, from child sexual abuse to sexual harassment to mental health to suicide, and it's done in a way that is so matter of fact, so slice of life, that I was in tears by the end, and it was liberating, as you rightly said. I felt that. Um, so yeah, thank you for making this film, Rupa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
so you've written multiple films. Which one do you feel like most connected to?
All of it. I mean, if I'm not connected to, I won't make a film.
That's beautiful.
I
And
mean, like you can't choose which kid of yours is favorite to you, right?
right, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And coming to the other love story, I haven't watched it yet. I've watched the first episode, but that's about it. I've just watched the meeting, but I intend to carry on. Um, I love the way that was done as well. Do you think stigma around same-sex love is conditional, and in what ways do you think one can break that barrier of conditions, really?
Um, by talking about it, by that's, I mean, I feel I could be now, like in India, like there are discussions happening about from the community, LGBT community, that they want like about marriage rights and stuff like that. I feel our fundamental thing is to first educate people that this happens, you know, and this is okay, and that education can only come from talking about it openly, or like stories representing the realness of it, not just a stigma or not just the social issue aspect of it, like there is social. Only when it is out there is it's a social issue. When it is internal, it is your own journey, and we need to discuss about journeys. Like we need personal stories to be
Absolutely.
shared, and that's what will, because like as simple as that, if you don't know what the smell of smoking is like, you don't know if somebody around you has smoked and come back, you don't even recognize it, right? First, to recognize and register to your brain, you need to first introduce that to your brain. So here,
Right.
that hasn't happened, I feel. I mean, it must have happened for a long time. There hasn't been a certain uh, real expression. I think the Other Love Story was one of the first in India which spoke of like a girls love story between two girls in the way we have spoken.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like as that was my approach, just like it happens in your neighborhood, in your own home, like
Exactly.
they, without any like a typical, it's not like they're human beings, like we're all human beings, and this is just an emotion. So I just wanted to approach it like that. Yeah.
That's healthy. You spoke about, breaking that stigma. The only way to do it is to talk about it. And I think in a way it's what we are also trying to do. We're trying to talk about it as much as we can, and we're trying to build safe spaces for these difficult conversations, right? What according to you constitutes a safe space?
A space where you're not judged. We all somehow in the walk of life figure out those safe spaces within your own, like, friend circle, and right. I think that's a space where you can just be yourself, and in all your madness and craziness and honesty, and yet feel like I'm part of this big existence. I'm not really alienated. I think that is.
Speaking of being a part of this big existence, I'm just gonna random spitball questions here. You've been, for the most part, as much as I've known you, you've been a very spiritual person. How has that aspect of your life tied into your personal and professional life?
Oh, everything is just a spill out of that journey. Nothing is separate. I am that journey dictates what I do in my social life or anything else. Like, I always tell myself, there is the moment I feel like, not like, the silence has set in properly in me and I don't have any stories to tell, I stop making films. So for me, it's all about cleansing. Even telling stories, film, that's my part of cleansing. That my part of my seeking path. So everything is intertwined. It can't be like separate. So yeah, like I always tell, 2014 I went to Kailash, and that has been the biggest defining kind of a, like, of course, every moment is defining. When I decided to join, like, pursue filmmaking, that was defining, and many things. But Kailash, what happened to me there, and how that whole experience was, I have still not able to. I usually write whatever I experience, but this is something that I have not even touched. I don't think I can. But then I came back, and I started working on The Other Love Story. That is, until then I was figuring out what am I to do with. I've written stuff. I don't know. Should I, like, cater to this audience and do this? All those things, like some sort of clarity that, like, let me pick up something that is the most uncomfortable thing to me in terms of, because
Right.
I had 8,000 rupees in my account when I wanted to make that series, and no backing. And then I started from the scratch, and it was like a 1.5 years journey. But then I just kept going at it, like how I kept going at Kailash, just walking towards it, just one step at a time. So everything is together. It's all happening together. It can't be separate.
I love how you say I just kept going, and that seems to be a recurring theme in your film, to just keep
Yes.
going. How would you define resilience?
Huh?
How would you define resilience? And how do you build that resilience? How do you bring it into your life? I mean, for a lot of our viewers who are watching this right now are currently looking for ways to bring resilience to their lives. So if you have any tips.
Just break it down to a breath at a time. Break it all down to a breath at a time, a step at a time. I mean, this has been, again, I'm bringing spiritual, because there is no separateness.
There is no
So I did a silence program. I did the silence program in 2012 when my dad was almost in his deathbed. So I wanted this something to tell me what was happening, because I was super duper close to him. Like, who is not, right? So when I that 8 days of silence, and when I came back, a lot had cleared off. But then all I know is it's all in your breath, like some certain clarity, right? So resilience is, it's not a fight. Life is not a fight. You're not fighting against someone, with someone, for someone. It is just you're living, right? With
Right.
so, and only thing that proves that you're living is your breath. So whatever we are seeking is not elsewhere. It's just in your breath, and just calm down to your breath. Calm down and just be with it. And that's how I go about it. There are 100 things that affect you, right? Like external
Right.
factors. You get really, like traffic. When I'm driving, it affects me, and I'm like, it's okay, one breath at a time. Just keep breathing, just keep going at it. So when you want to do this, right, because it's coming to you with that force, and then just do it. There's no other way, right? Whatever happens, it's not a problem, it's a situation. Right? Like, you just go at it and see how to solve it. If you can't solve it, just keep it for a while, keep it aside, pin it up, and then come back to it when you can. So that also helps me in my filmmaking, because it's a shot at a time we shoot,
Right. Right.
a take at a time, right? You like this whole thing of, I have seen the film in my head 100 times. It's all myth. Nobody can do that. You just know an essence. You just know, this is the direction I want to take. This is my framework, because this is what I'm kind of trying to explore. Let's go one take at a time. One take at a time. That's how movies are made, and that's what life is all about too. So resilience is, it's not something to understand. It's just about, get up in the morning,
That's
brush
it.
your teeth. That's all, right? Just go at it a step at a time.
And breathe. And breathe.
Keep breathing. Yeah.
Breathe.
I mean,
Keep
you can't not do it, right?
We do, but we stop breathing sometimes. We get so stressed, and we like, just the breath becomes shallow, and then you constrict it, and you're just like,
Yeah.
but take deep breaths. Deep breaths are the key. So, filmmaking, coming back to filmmaking, since you brought it up, a lot of people, especially young ones who have been exposed to films, learn through it, right? And I feel like that has also been a recurring theme in your work. So, because of the influence perhaps that films have had on your life, you know?
Yes. It is just me speaking there, like, and just not me, like everybody around me who, like, especially in India, I think films have been our biggest source of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Carry on.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it's just coming from my own experience, and also, like sorry.
Carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on. Sorry, there's a
Yeah,
lag.
yeah. No, I was just saying, I tell everyone that if somebody asks me what's your religion, I say film, because that's how I'm brought up at home. Like, my dad went to watch a film, at least 3 movies in a week in theater while growing up, and he took us. So, and films have been biggest. He was an orphan, and he grew up in his relatives' houses. So for him, films were everything. So it all comes from there. For me, it's genetics.
Lovely. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, how do you think we can encourage, like, facilitate safe conversations around sexual issues and sexuality between teenagers through the medium of films? It's a very powerful medium, isn't it?
It is. It is. How, see, films are an extension of us, right? Films are extension of, like, it's one person's vision, and one person has written it. So I think it's about empowering individuals to discuss this and enhance their knowledge and their understanding and acceptance around it before we, because films will be part of those individuals, they will bring it out. So it's about getting people to see. I recently did a documentary, a short for a German TV, and it was about gender studies. Yeah, I kind of line produced and directed it from India. 5, 6, 7 days of shoot or something, and I spoke to about 12, 13 people from different gender spectrum, and sexuality. So it was very interesting when I spoke to young people how they spoke of it, and it was very interesting when I spoke to a villager how they spoke of it, and like an elderly how they spoke of it. So I think the current generation right now, like our generation, we are kind of already being open about it, in more accepting of it because of the discussions that has happened in the last 2 decades. And it's only going to get better. Like, we have to keep at it, and it's only going to get better from here.
I agree with you. So, on that note, I have my last little question for you. What piece of advice would you want to give budding directors and writers and filmmakers?
I am not so big to give advice yet because I am also kind of budding in it. Only thing I would say that know your responsibility when you're making a film. You have that power to.
Yes, yes. This is
Yes,
exactly what we're trying to do. Know your responsibility, create responsible content, and
yes.
yes.
I mean, it
Now,
doesn't, responsible doesn't mean it needs to be boring. No, there are ways to
true.
talk about it, entertaining, engaging ways. So just figure out, but you know that if you're showing a murder, you're actually documenting it for the rest of the history, like rest of the humanity. Like 100 years from now, they can refer to this movie and think that could be the history of, these times. So know that you are leaving certain footprint and be responsible about it.
Excellent. What a way to end this. I couldn't agree more. Thank
Yay.
you so much, Rupa, for being with us today.
Thank you, Nat.
It's been an absolute, absolute pleasure, and I do hope to see you very soon
Yes,
in the physical space.
we will.
So we are constantly silenced because gender-based violence and abuse has become so normalized and entrenched into the fabric of society that almost 1 in 2 girl children and 1 in 8 boy children are sexually abused. We need to be a generation of preventers and end the cycle of sexual violence so that we can ensure that no one else goes through the same suffering. Regardless of the number of laws and redressal systems that we have, change can only take place with people's mindsets. And at Sakshi, we believe in a preventative approach towards gender equality. The Rakshan project by Sakshi is currently working to skill build 4 million NSS volunteers across 40,000 colleges in India to create a movement and nip this problem in the bud. So, help
What
us
is the
with
NSS volunteer? Nat?
what is
What are
sorry.
what are NSS volunteers?
So the NSS volunteers. So the Directorate of NSS, Ministry of Youth Affairs, has something called the National Service Scheme.
Acha, that NSS. Like NCC, NSS. Okay.
Correct. So most of the colleges have an NSS unit, and we're currently skill building these volunteers to be able to recognize, identify, address, de-escalate, report, and resolve cases of gender-based violence and child sexual abuse within the family and community, because we realize that 90% of it happens within known and trusted circles, right? And it's very difficult to penetrate this family unit unless there is one person in the family who is equipped with the knowledge and skills to stop it there and then. So that's what we're trying to build. 4 million youth every 2 years to create a social tipping point in the country. And
Nice.
I invite all of you to be a part of this movement.
Yes. Whatever.
I'll connect with you
It's
offline.
important, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Have a good evening. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.